Rotherham and New York in the same day. I'm Derek McGregor. This is One on One, and I'm at the uniquely named home of Rotherham United, managed by Glaswegian Steve Evans. Over 1,000 games as a boss over 31 years, and not one of them in Scottish football. Steve opens up on his extraordinary managerial career with so much more to come. Steve, over 1,000 games as a manager, and not one in Scotland. Why is that?
I think circumstances, Derek. Obviously, I finished playing through injury, and a few years later, I'd found myself down south working, and nothing to do with football. And then I moved near a family that were on the board, if you like, the committee of a little local non-league club, and asked me if I'd come in and help and take a bit of training, and that bug suddenly comes back. And but I think circumstances. I've been given an opportunity to be in Scotland, 2 or 3 clubs up there. Totally the right clubs. Just the wrong time in my career.
Really?
Yeah, I think, and I think the nearest I came was Heart of Midlothian. And
What year would that be, Steve?
well, Romanov was the owner, and I met him and some people that represent him and work for him in London, and then I went up to Edinburgh, and I was really keen. Hearts is a great club, isn't it? Oh. It's a great club, and I was really keen. And then, like you're always advised, do some due diligence, just a little bit, because I'd read enough things, and I spoke to the one man who's been my lieutenant, and he's sadly gone now, it's Craig Brown, and I spoke to Craig and others, and Craig's always puts it across in an equal way, but the feeling I got was what I just described to you is absolutely 1,000,000% the right club, wrong owner. And as Sir Alex has always maintained, pick your football club by your chairman or the owner.
Was this pre or post George Burley?
I think George had just gone.
George had just gone.
Yeah.
When Hearts first made contact, I take it the initial feeling was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Potentially this is outstanding for me.
Yeah, and it was one of them. We didn't have grandkids then. Myself and Sarah, she was flexible, and it was, do you fancy living in Edinburgh? Because prior to meeting me, my wife had been in Edinburgh many times, family holidays and things. So I thought, oh, this sounds exciting. And then you do all the stuff, don't you? You get on Rightmove, and you look at what potential where you could live and how you would live, and you looked at the infrastructure, you looked at the fan base, which I know as a kid playing against Hearts what it was always like, and I could have pictured myself as the Hearts manager. And
fantastic club,
great
history.
But just when it comes to the words for Craig resonated with me, and then the words of Sir Alex is, if you're going to make a jump in your career, and it's somebody that wants you and you're interested, just make sure you're going to join the right person in charge.
So did you actually meet Vladimir Romanov?
Yeah, I met him in London, yes.
So you were able to look him in the eye?
Yeah, listen, I have to say it, he was a charming man. I didn't come away from the meeting thinking, you don't feel right to me. He come across as respectful, he come across as...
What was his English like?
Broken, but he was competent.
Translator
Was there to clarify certain things that I would say or he would say. But I just got a good feeling. It was just it's just when I come away and I thought, right, I better just look into this a bit more. And when I did look into it, the advice was to just be wary, and I wasn't ready to move back from being in England for such a long time to go back to Scotland on a be wary basis.
Was it your understanding it was yours if you'd wanted it?
It was mine.
It was, really?
Yeah, it was mine. Yeah.
Which is
if that's people true to the words, and the words were that I had a deadline to make a decision, which was 24 hours.
How did he sell it to you? What was his plan? What was his vision to you?
I think the plan for the vision of Hearts was, under him, was to challenge Celtic and Rangers. That was the plan, and to dominate Edinburgh. That was the plan in terms of Hibs and Hearts. And when you hear that, you look at the size of a Hibernian football club and the respect I've got for them. So to hear someone saying, I'm also going to back you. I'm going to back you with players. I'm going to back it. I'm going to support you. We want you up. We want you up in a couple of days, and it was as welcoming as I could have got. But as I was repeating now, Derek, I just, when you go and done the homework, if you like, it just didn't stack.
For a few moments, though, did it take your breath away? The plan and his, he clearly was going to throw the kitchen sink at it.
I think it takes your breath away any time. I've been at Tynecastle quietly on many occasions, either looking for players or been up on holiday and going to watch them. It's
fantastic ground.
It's a brilliant stadium. The fans make it. It's like here. The fans make the stadium.
Yeah.
And they're loud, they're proud. The atmosphere is, you can envisage a genuine heart of Midlothian challenging, maybe not Celtic in the current state, but you can envisage them challenging at the top end of that SPL and Tynecastle being sold out every week.
So was your heart saying yes, but your head was saying no? Having done your due diligence and spoken to Craig Brown and obviously Sir Alex.
Yeah, I think when I jumped on the train back out of London that night, my heart and my head said yes. Obviously, I had to speak to the boss at home, and but I wouldn't have gone to the meeting if the boss had not been ticking a few boxes anyway. But when I done my due diligence, I had 24 hours to give them a decision, and it takes 60 seconds to speak to someone on the phone and that's the end of the call. And the 2 or 3 people I spoke to, the one thing they all agreed with, every one of them, and some of them are, as you know, are Scottish legends. They're like, if they were still alive walking down Sauchiehall Street, everybody knows them. I go on my A licence, my pro licence. I'm the only one that if I walks down Sauchiehall Street, nobody knows. And so it would have been. I think it would possibly been a brilliant move. I've had the ownership model been different.
Do you still think about it?
Yeah, of course.
Every now and again, you just think, I wonder, okay, for everything you'd heard about Vladimir, Mad Vlad, is there still part of you thinking, I wonder what that would have been like?
Yeah, but my family's based on the West Coast, and I've gone up, and when I go up to watch games, I'll take my brother along and his wife Tony and Kath. They've been supporters of me since I was a baby. And so I've been at Tynecastle with many occasions, me still walking out going, I'd have set this place alight. And I don't mean by a match, I mean by football. So from that point of view, it was, you sometimes reflect and say, also what it would have been like to manage in the SPL, because it doesn't get the just rewards in English football that it should get at the SPL.
Would you? I'm guessing you would back yourself in the Scottish Premiership, Steve.
Oh yeah, of course I would. Yeah, of course. I think you have to look at sometimes the guys who come down here, and it has to be said, over a period, we all struggle at times, but over a period, don't get it right, then I think over a period I've proven with the quality of staff and the quality of player, if you get a little bit of support, you can expect it to be good.
I mean, the offer from Romanov, it's a long time ago. Has it disappointed you that since then that there maybe hasn't been more interest, direct interest, given your record down here?
No, I think perhaps, as well in Scotland, it's probably more fashionable in the last few years, but it's more and more where it's people who are bred and buttered in Scotland and stay in Scotland to get the jobs, isn't it? And want the jobs. And probably still most management jobs are not who you know, it's who they know. If that gets the means. You look at, if a job becomes available in Scotland, Partick Thistle's job just become available. I'm sure that football club will be sitting writing a list of names out that are proper football guys in Scotland who are ready and willing and free to walk in the door.
You're 62 now, Steve. Realistically, do you think your managerial career will finish in England, or is there still part of you wondering what it would be like to be a manager in Scotland?
Yeah, there'll always be that one. If I never do it, there'll always be. I wonder whether I would have been successful or not. There is absolutely no question that I've been successful. Does that mean to the Celtic supporters, who I'm the biggest one, by the way, does it mean
really? You've kept that one quiet,
I've kept it quiet for years. And but does that mean that I would be saying we're going to beat Celtic? No, it doesn't. Does it say you go to Ibrox and win? No, it doesn't. Yeah, it's not a huge football club. But it means I think I'd build a successful team.
What would you give to manage Celtic?
Oh, everything. It's Tommy Burns described it. Celtic's not a football club. Celtic's not anything other than a cause. Celtic Football Club is a cause, and the cause is to be the best and to win and to play attractive football and deliver for a fan base that, the same as across the city at Glasgow Rangers. It's Celtic fans don't. I normally get a bit of abuse online when I say it, but two institutions, two fantastic football clubs. But the one that I grew up as a wee boy, getting lifted over a turnstile or crawling under them in the jungle to go and watch them was Glasgow Celtic, and it's just a sensational football club.
Anytime I speak to you, I mean, whether it's a phone call or in person, Steve, your passion for Celtic is so genuine, and I think it actually increases the older you get. It just comes over in your voice.
Well, I just think I'm very, very fortunate. I've been able to be friends with likes of the managers, Big Ange, and more Brendan, if you like. But I've been able to, Gavin Strachan, some really good guys, and of course when it's inside you, innit? For example, Dermot Desmond, I've seen him at Heathrow a couple of times, and I've almost been desperate to run up and say, "Can I have a selfie?" And the same with Peter Lowell, and the same with Peter Lowell. And you can imagine the reaction, but no, they are just a wonderful football club that I loved from when I was known to what love is, and I'll love when the day I go in the box.
I think that's unmistakable how much Celtic means to Steve.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brendan Rodgers is as we speak, they're playing Bayern Munich this evening.
Good luck.
But have you met Brendan? Have you been in Brendan's company?
Yeah,
many occasions.
Yeah, he's an insatiable man. In fact, he sat up in our. The first time I ever met Brendan, he came to watch his son play, who was on loan at Exeter. My first spell here at the football club, and we beat them 4-1. And I sat up to take an advantage point of how that game was going to work out tactically, and spoke to him before the game and afterwards. And since then, there's been a brilliant friendship. First time at Celtic, and then obviously Leicester's just down the road from us. So when he went to Leicester, it was kept going, and we've always kept in touch. And he's someone I could pick up at the phone at any time.
You'll be delighted, just continuing the Celtic theme for just now, Steve, you'll be delighted that he's getting proper backing from the board. And you see the players that have come in, obviously last summer, you see the success they've had this season in Europe as well.
Yeah, listen, he's such a strong character, isn't he? I think he knew when he went back to Celtic, he knew more than anyone in the world that there was a percentage of that fan base stuck a big question mark there. Because he left.
Aye.
But that's what happens. If you've got...
Were you disappointed when he left?
Yeah, of course I was. Well, he won every week, didn't he? So of course you're disappointed. He won every cup it was going. He was...
But from a managerial point of view, could you understand why he did it?
You understand the English Premiership. As a head coach, and Brendan does a lot of the coaching, as a head coach and someone that challenges himself, he knew that coming to the Premier League away from the likes of a Liverpool and going to a Leicester was going to be so challenging. So he had to challenge himself, and I think he said it. I seen an interview with him yesterday where it's a fresh interview, I believe, Derek, where he said he was questioning how far he could take Celtic Football Club in terms of from where they were then.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I think when you believe that as a manager, if you get out your bed not only for the money you get, not only for anything else other than the challenge and making players better, making teams better, I think that's why he went. I've never sat and had that chat with him, but I think that's why he went.
You were a player, late 70s, early 80s, and I wonder, obviously, Craig Brown was your manager at Clyde, but I wonder, did you ever get the opportunity to meet Jock Stein?
I met Jock a couple of times when I was at Celtic Boys Club, and on the same day I met Kenny Dalglish, and it was just a case.
Awestruck?
No, I went to the stadium because I had a little niggle, and so they sent me to Parkhead on a Sunday morning for treatment, and my hero, and he's still a hero to this day, is Kenny Dalglish. And bear in mind, I'm a wee boy from the circuit in Cambuslang, and I get dropped off. My daddy takes me on the bus, and we get up to Brigton and walk up to Parkhead, and I'm in there. I walk in for treatment. My dad gets waiting on reception, and I go in, and Kenny Dalglish sat on the treatment table getting rubbed. And I,
Out the way, Kenny, I need treatment.
yeah, and I'll never forget this man's long gone now as well, but he was actually a friend of my dad's, Bobby Rooney, Campbell's Langman. And Bob Rooney said, "Wee man, jump on the couch next to Kenny." I think Kenny thought it was a bit funny that I wanted to be on the same bench as him, do you know what I mean, rather than here. But, and Jock come through, and he came in and just said, "Morning, Bobby," and "Who's this?" And yeah, and so I was very, very, very privileged. And I met him at Largs a couple of times as well, but only as part of a bigger group when he was in charge of Scotland.
Just have that presence about him, did he? Just that kind of aura.
He had an aura, and I've always said there's managers. You know, if you look at Sir Alex now, Sir Alex don't stand. You know, you've met him, you've interviewed him, or stuff. He don't stand 6'3", 6'4". He's not a big man. He's not like me, a big boy. He has an aura. He walks in, Fergie's in the room. Do you know what I mean? Jock, Stein had that. Yeah. And when you hear of the greats, I heard a brilliant interview with Graham Souness a little while back, and he's talking about that terrible night in Cardiff, where he just talks about how people were just broken. But you know, he was a great man.
As I was saying earlier, over 1,000 games. I think it's 1,250. Over 500 victories, which is some record, Steve. 9 promotions, including Stamford. You started 1994.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a remarkable managerial career you've had. The adjectives that describe you as a personality, I always find incredible. Tenacious, combustible, I've heard that one. Fiercely competitive, winning mentality. How would you describe yourself?
Yeah, I think they're good words.
Does that pretty much cover it all?
I think my publicist must have wrote them. I think that...
Is there any adjectives missed out that you would include?
There's a few other ones, but I think you have a passion to be successful. You know, I can genuinely say this. I'm 62. I have never lost at Scrabble or Monopoly to my kids. I can't lose. Because if I'm losing, then it's time we all just had a drink and maybe a few little things get moved on.
So if there's even a sense of you losing, there's a real edge in the room, is there?
Oh, there's a real edge.
Really?
The girls chuckle at me now, you know. And now it's the grandkids. The wee grandkid can't even beat me at swimming. Do you know what I mean? And he's twice as fast. He can't work it out. So,
Steve, do you not think that's taking it a bit far?
Yeah, I think it was. Well, my wife said one day, you just got to let him win. You got to let him win. I said,
you're going no.
No, you can't win. You can't win. No, I think it's a passion to win games, but people display passion, Derek, in a different way. Because a manager stood on the sideline and he's not always shouting instructions, he's not always sometimes just shouting for the sake of keeping his players alert and alive, then it doesn't mean that the guy who's the next technical referee who's silent, it doesn't mean his heart's not bumping as fast as your heart, because they are. In reality, in this profession, they are, because we all know that winning means you're employed, and we know that losing games means you're unemployed.
I think it'd be fair to say, Steve, you're probably one of the most animated managers in English football, if not British football. We see the coverage, it matters, your heart on the sleeve. And naturally enough, because of that, that's going to lead to confrontations.
Yeah.
There was an absolute belter of a confrontation, or so it seemed to us, with Gary Caldwell, start of the season, you go to Exeter, I think lost, unfortunately. And we've seen the image of you refusing Gary's handshake. Tell us about what happened, and have you since made up?
Oh, yeah, well, the summary is, of course, we made up. We made up on the Sunday. It's quite interesting.
Really? What, the day after?
Yeah, and we fell out on the Saturday. But, you know, you can't be jibbing for the last 15 minutes of a game and then turn around and want to say, let's go for a beer, mate, and I'll see you in a minute. No, that doesn't work like that with me. Because as much as I can be challenging on the sideline of different things, there's always a line, and there's always a line of respect, isn't there, where you take it. I just felt it had been breached that day. But the big man, Gary, accepted those words. And I rang him on the Sunday, and on deadline day, he was ringing me, asking me a reference on a couple of players. So, and I would always give him honesty.
Yeah. So it's very much heat at the moment.
Oh, yeah. I think the minute you've not got that, I think the minute, you know, what did I love when Lenny was manager of Celtic? Lenny, Martin O'Neill, cuddle him, passion, commitment, want to win. I'm a Celtic supporter. I want my manager to be passionate. I want him to be passionate. I
mean, there's various other episodes when I was doing a little bit of research. Nick Barnby Hull City. He was, I think, distinctly unhappy with you and your bench. You actually beat them well.
Yeah, we were a non-league club in Crawley town. We were non-league, and we played Hull City. Of course, we were in the Championship. So it really is David and Goliath.
Yeah.
We won 1-0, and it should have been 4 or 5, and it was comfortable in it. And I think at that time Nick knew he was under severe pressure, especially his results leading up to that game put him under pressure. And losing that game, he probably was on edge more because he knew it was going to happen.
Big name player, former England international. Probably an element of embarrassment as well as he stood there watching his team getting utterly outplayed. There was a fantastic comment from you post-match that basically I think said, Nick Barnby, is he an altar boy, is he?
Well, he looked that young. He looked that young. Listen, he was. I watched Nick many times, not only for England, but in his club career. And he was a genius, wasn't he? He could pass it, technically clever, dropped in, played a little number 8 or number 10, loved him as a player. Yeah. But listen, when you got to play them in the FA Cup or in the league, it's a war of attrition. This game's based on results, based on winning, and you need to do what you need to win.
See, when that whistle sounds, are you just so much in the zone and winning is everything that do you almost like change personality-wise in a way?
Yeah, I think my beautiful wife has a wonderful saying that, you know, the amount of people we met away from football, they'll go, what a nice guy. But I can tell a really true story, and it's a really true story. I've said it before, but it's a true story. I was a manager of Leeds United.
We're going to get to that, by the way.
Yeah, but this was a little story about you say about passion, and my wife was at a company function, and that particular night we were live on the TV away at Wolves, and we've gone. I think it was 3-1 or 4-1 up. I'm giving it all this, and her.
To their fans.
Yeah, general.
Okay.
But obviously it's live on this big screen at this company function. And there's a big boss in the company who didn't know that Sarah was my wife. And turned around and says, oh, I can't stand that bloke. I'm a West Brom legend. When he comes to the Hawthorns, he gives it this when they score. I can't stand him. And there was 3 or 4 around him going, Evans, relative, wife. And so now when we meet that individual, his wife, we're going on holiday with him. So they see a different person. My wife's always said if people see Steve with his daughters and Steve with his grandkids, Steve's a different person.
I mean, sometimes, you know, I've known you a long time, Steve, and sometimes I think there's almost like a Marmite feeling towards you down here. I mean, there was some of the comments are pretty extreme. I mean, I think 6 years ago I noticed Paul Lambert at Ipswich Town, I think basically referred to you as a disgrace and a liar, and I thought, wow, that's strong. Do the emotions get so caught up that it leads to that kind of comment?
Well, I think if you're Paul Lambert and you shout on to a Steve Evans player, you're rubbish, son. I expect more. I expect more from when I look at that class of people, McCoist, Boyd, Walker, all legends to me. Paul Lambert's a legend to me, especially for Celtic. Yeah. What a player.
You can't take away what you achieved as a player, can you? It's phenomenal.
No. Unbelievable. Champions League. I was one of them when they signed him. I was like, wow, what a signing. Yeah. I go and watch him. I think, I'd come away raving. But don't shout at my players. That's not your job to shout at my players.
Am I guessing that's one bust-up that wasn't repaired? Is that...
Yeah, we don't speak, but we don't cross wires, do we? He's unemployed.
I mean, your 9 promotions, your League Ones, your League Twos, you know those divisions inside out. Here we are at Rotherham United. I was in New York a couple of years ago, and I've got to say, New York has changed beyond recognition, Steve. It's quite incredible.
Yes, sir.
The New York Stadium, it's smart. It's a nice stadium. You were here when it opened. You were the first manager to actually get the privilege of
first to get the keys as a manager. Yeah, yeah. The first ever game here was we played the 3 local teams, and in terms of Barnsley, Doncaster, just as a test site for the stadium. But yeah, we were first in. There were 80% finished it when we got offered the job.
We were talking about Tynecastle earlier on, and this has got a kind of Tynecastle feel about it. You get a sense that the fans are right on you.
And in that first or second season I was here, we played Hearts here. We played Heart Malone here in the friendly, and they beat us 1-0. And we give them a bit of a hiding, but they beat us 1-0. And so it is very similar to Tynecastle. The noise levels are almost identical. I've said it's a full house here is like playing in front of 30,000, and that's players that tell you that.
Where do you think Rotherham United would feature in the Scottish Premiership right now?
No, I think listen, you're not Celtic Rangers. Let's put that. Rangers could have their problems, but you've seen how comfortable at the end of the day they win at Tynecastle on Saturday. We'd certainly be at the top end of that scale from everyone outside Celtic Rangers. We'd certainly be competing with
Top four?
Yeah, we'd be competing with Hearts and Hibs, and but at the same time, I recognise how tough it is. Look at the job Derek McGregor does at Command. I recognise how tough it is, and but I also look at certain things where, look at Hearts. They hardly won a game for 3.5 months. Hey, listen, we were the same, so I get it. But all of a sudden, I'm watching the game on Sunday, and I hear the commentator say, "A couple of wins, and they'll be challenging for the top 3." To be third to Celtic Rangers.
Yeah.
Went, wow. I think we'd certainly be there, that kind of level.
And you know Neil Critchley quite well, don't you?
No, Neil. His first ever game as a Blackpool manager, I was the Gillingham manager. And obviously I'd heard of Neil from his time at Liverpool.
You didn't have a follow, you got an okay, did you?
Brilliant relationship. But isn't it respectful when before the game, when you exchange team sheets, in England you have to be the head person that exchanges the team sheets with the captains and the referees. That's obviously the same in Scotland, but it's protocol down here. And when the referee disappears, just said, "Can I have an hour with you after the game just to pick your brain? I've never managed. This is my first ever Football League game. I want to talk to you. You've been in it so long. You've been so successful. What does it take? All that stuff." And he's not been the first, but he did it. And myself and Neil have had a brilliant relationship.
That's a nice compliment. That's a nice sign of respect.
Well, he is.
Did he come to you?
Yeah, and people do come. There's a lot of young managers that are in the Football League now that will ask to come and spend a day or so with us to see how we do things. Charlie Adam. I played with Charlie's dad, God rest him. And myself and Charlie speak regular. But when he got the Fleetwood job, he called me up and said, "Could we meet?" And we drove 2 hours each to meet. We had a coffee. We sat there for about 3 hours, and now I know he's come out of Fleetwood, but he's gone into Everton.
Now, there's a certain Rangers player, Steve, that you know very well, and you're always happy to see do well, apart from obviously against Celtic. James Tavernier. Yeah. Tell me about your history with James. Tell me about your relationship with James.
Yeah, I signed James here as a young man on loan initially. When we were in League One at this level, trying to get to the Championship.
From Newcastle, yeah.
From Newcastle.
Yeah.
Signed him on loan. He's a very lively boy. He's very confident. His first training session, he did a little bit of shape, and he kicks 2 or 3 balls right out of the pitch. I sent him in, and I think in about half an hour later, he stood in my office and humbly apologising that he wasn't quite with it, and we've all done that. So he come back out on the Friday, and he was outstanding. He was just sensational for us here, sensational, and it was not a surprise to me that he's had the career. He's talented, technically magnificent.
Do you look on from afar with amazement at how much stick he will take from the Rangers fans? Clearly his record against Celtic, he will admit himself, is very poor. His actual medal haul for 10 years is pretty poor. He has won everything in Scotland. However, his numbers, his appearances, his goals record is sensational.
He'd be good at Celtic, eh?
Have you told him that?
Yeah. What, Gaffer? What did you say? He's totally blew through the middle of them now, isn't he? But would he be good at Celtic? Imagine him playing in that team. And as a manager who's, I'm a massive Celtic fan, but I think you would be able to sit there and say, if you pick the best of the Celtic team and the best of the Rangers team, for me, there's only one player from Rangers who's in the Celtic team.
What, ahead of Alistair Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
In that team. Hey, Johnson's terrific, eh?
Yeah.
And he I think he stumbled out a bit when he first came in, but he's got his way. But James Tavernier would be sensational in that team.
That's a big call, Steve.
Well,
that's a big call.
You know, that's probably why
you would put him straight in now. You put him straight in ahead of Alistair Johnson just now, would you?
Well, Celtic have 80% of the ball down.
Yeah.
Celtic 80% home and away.
Yeah.
He'd be, you know, James Tavernier played right back for me. Was he a right back? People used to say it, is he a right back or a right winger? And if you've got 80% of the ball, and we did in that team, when James came into that team, it was a really good team. So we had a lot of the ball, done a lot of attacking here. He was sensational. His
crossing ability is magnificent, certainly. You know, his ability to hit a dead ball, obviously his shooting prowess. Is he as good in that respect as you've seen as a manager?
Yeah,
or worked with?
He's phenomenal. I think everyone would accept, and I think James would accept. If you were looking strategically as a manager or coach looking at James, you'd say defensively he can improve. But there's an understanding that you might have I would say Alistair Johnson's probably a better defender than James Tavernier.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about technically going forward, creating, scoring goals, free kicks. But he's good as good in that position as I've seen at these levels.
How often do you keep in touch? You drop the odd message?
Yeah, we were talking. We were interested in taking a player from Rangers in January. So I was obviously talking to James quite a bit then, just as not about whether he rates him as a player, that's our judgment, but in terms of character and stuff like that. And I always send him a WhatsApp if he scores and things. And for one period, it hurt my fingers every week because I'm a Celtic man. I was like, well done, Tabs. And another great goal, great finish. And it was hurt my thumb to do it. But yeah, he said, listen, there's also a little saying, don't wish for something and then regret it.
Do you find yourself getting very defensive towards him? If you're down here and you're in the company of either fellow Celtic fans or indeed Rangers fans that are very critical of him, do you find yourself sticking up for him, getting quite defensive?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you know him?
Well, not because I know him, because I know what he can deliver. I know how good he is. And I know what kind of lad he is. I've seen us have poor results, if you like, and that have, of course, scored a penalty when we got promoted at Wembley. But I've also seen him in the dressing room when we've lost games, being really down and solemn on a Monday. And people probably don't see that side because he has that wonderful smile, doesn't he? He has a beautiful smile. When you look at James, he's a happy boy. And I would suggest he's probably not perhaps playing as well as he can do because he's not as happy as he should be.
In fairness to him, I always get a sense from him, what I read and whenever I see interviews, he's always appreciative of what he's had before, what clubs he's been at before. He's always appreciated the development and who he's worked with as well. Would that be fair?
Yeah, I think if you start at a giant like Newcastle United, and you find yourself at a Rotherham and loan, and then off to a Wigan, and then when something like Glasgow Rangers comes in, you go back to giant status, don't you?
Yeah.
You go back to giant status. So I think that in between spell when he's at like say Rotherham here, and he went to Wigan with Wobbs, etc. I think when you go back to that level, you probably have a real appreciation for what's below you.
Of course, we've been discussing Hearts, Steve, and not that long ago, they've taken one of your players, Jamie McCart. Although you wouldn't have been too impressed with him at the weekend. 2 OGs for Rangers. Were you cussing him?
Jamie. Well, I sat down, I watched the game, and the Hearts started well.
Yeah.
And you think, come on the Hearts. And then one of the Jambos. I was like that. And my wife's in and out bringing me a coffee. And the one thing with Jamie, when I arrived at this football club, he'd just come back from a loan spell at Barnsley. They signed him here from St Johnstone. He did not get a chance. They shipped him on loan twice. They did not give him a chance. And when I come...
Your predecessor, of course. Yeah.
The two. They didn't give him a chance. So when I arrived, I just got him in and said, get yourself fit, because you're a little niggle. Get yourself fit. If you deserve to play, you play. He was simply the best defender that I was watching in training. He played a real run of games, got a little niggle, went out the team, and then someone took his place. So he sat maybe on a couple of games on the bench, but training really well. I loved him as a kid, loved him as a player. And then he came and was very open, said he had an opportunity that was going to come across my desk because Hearts were coming from.
Yeah.
And then when you sit down and he wanted to go and he wanted to go back home and all that things that tick those boxes. The disappointing thing was on Sunday when the first one he can do nothing about. Second one, perhaps he should defend a little bit better. But
it can happen to any defender, in fairness to him.
Of course
And I think he's actually had quite a strong start with Hearts.
Well, scoring 2 goals for Rangers against Hearts is but listen, I'll tell you what, nobody's been hurting more than him. He's a warrior. He's a leader.
Yeah.
And I found that, in the dressing room, losing games, winning games, he was a motivator.
Well, he's part of a St Johnstone team that won both the Scottish Cup and the League Cup in the same season. Absolutely sensational
Incredible
achievement.
feat.
So,
yeah.
he's due kudos right away. He's got that respect right away.
Yeah.
Would you see him just getting better for Hearts, just getting, really establishing himself?
Yeah, I think when he settles in, Jimmy's a quiet lad. He's not so quiet on the pitch, but around the buildings and the training grounds, etc., he's quiet by nature. And but I found him getting a lot more expressive as he get into the team.
Yeah.
And then with that lot of saying, you don't get respect out, you earn it.
You earn it.
So his training performance was really good. Bang, he's in on a match day. We start winning football matches. He looks strong, and he'll get better for Hearts.